everyone, it's Livia here. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be addressing a new topic. Actually, it's a new segment that I'm thinking about. I have been thinking about this for a little bit because number one, I am a Korean teacher, and number two, in regards to the Korean culture boom that's been happening for a little bit, and so I thought that it would be great to have a little segment section about everything Korean. And so I am still in the process of thinking about how to name it. So if you have any suggestions, please comment below because that would really help me out. And with that in mind, today we're going to be addressing specifically a Korean language learning tip. And I saw this kind of post online, and it was in regards to this individual who was learning Korean for a little bit and felt like they didn't learn anything or they couldn't remember anything. And so for them, the main thing was, I believe, consistency. So in regards to learning Korean, I wanted to go over some important things to consider if you are considering to learn Korean or you just kind of feel like you have a roadblock. So the three things that are kind of important, not only in learning Korean, but maybe just another language as well, is consistency, number one. Number two is having fun with it. And the last thing is foundation. And all of those are really important. And I say that because I noticed that they're experiencing that particularly with my students. And so we're going to go over a few tips to address kind of all of those things. And the one thing that I really do address with my students, or I try to observe, is their learning styles. And so the first thing I feel like important, if you don't know already, is be aware of how you learn best. And I think that that's really important in how you end up internalizing and really kind of taking the language for your own and making it really personal to you. This is just a generic 4 category, and if you don't fit into those, it's totally fine. There's, visual learners, auditory, kinesthetic, and reading and writing. Visual, usually when you learn a language, most of the time it starts off as visual, auditory, and then reading and writing. And those three kind of combine together. Some people learn better with maybe auditory, which is like interacting with teacher and listening to them say the phrase, or music, and certain things like that. So we'll go over all of those things and think about as I go over the tips, try to think about how the tips might fit into your type of learning style and then go from there. And so the first main tip that I want to go over is more for the writing part. So it's kind of like muscle memory. So in that case, it's more like diary or journaling, having like a phrase or a word, phrase book or a word list for yourself, and not just writing it in your language, but also making the effort to translate it. So for me, I try to encourage my students to use Naver.com in their dictionary section. And so what they do is they give you not only the actual word or traditional word for it, but they also give you how they use it, or maybe the usage for colloquially might be different than the word that they traditionally use as a definition in their section. And so a lot of people try to use Google Translate, which is like a hit or miss a lot of the time. Just keep in mind, if you would like, I'll put the link down below and then you guys can check it out for yourself. So that's number one. So diary, phrase book, or word list. Okay. I feel like these three things really help because it's really internalizing and making it personal, because those are the phrases that you would use, those are the words that you like. And then diary, of course, it's your personal life being expressed on paper or on blog, whichever. That's number one. Number two is book form. So I feel like book or online website that focuses on teaching foundation. So this part I feel like is important because you do need to learn some type of foundation in order to build on it, right? So books that they sell online websites. There's multiple types of Korean learning websites online. Also forums. So if you're not a part of a forum and you're really serious and you would like to have advice and stuff like that, there's definitely a lot of forums. And also, you can always message me and I would love to help you. So the books online, I personally teach from a book called Living Language. I've looked over a few other types of books, which is Talk to Me in Korean and Korean from Zero, and I feel like the other one is Go Billy. And so I've looked over their curriculum as well, and all of them are really great. It's for different types of level of readers, meaning like people who enjoy the detail and really reading it. And some of them, it's nice to have someone explain it to them. So it's a really good supplement if you have maybe a tutor as well. Keeping that in mind, book, online forum, or online websites like 90 Day Korean or Korean 101. And also Talk to Me in Korean also has online sessions that are free as well. And Go Billy also has a YouTube channel. So, there's a lot of people who also teach Korean online on their YouTube channel, because I think there's another one. Her name is 한국 언니. So like Korean older sister, like that's the traditional phrase. And so she also teaches as well. And I know that there are a few more. So you can find them anywhere online, and they definitely help with some of the foundational things in regards to where you want to start in basic wise. Okay. All right. So that's number 2, which is anything to help you with your foundation and getting the basics down. Number 3 is apps. And so apps, there are 2 apps that I encourage my students to use, which is Duolingo and Lingodeer Plus, if they don't already have those apps. And so, or already not using them. And so the new one I feel like is Lingodeer Plus. And the reason why I like that one specifically is because there's 2 versions. There's Lingodeer and Lingodeer Plus. And Lingodeer Plus allows you to use their app up to a certain number of lessons, which is like lesson 20, I believe. And then they strongly encourage you to pay for their premium. And the Lingodeer, without the word plus on it, I think they require you to pay for their services after 1 lesson. So just keeping that in mind. So apps in general are visual and also auditory, because some of them actually repeat back to you or give you a portion where they're going to verbally say the phrase and you have to fill in the blank with the word that they say. And so I feel like apps in general in that way really is helpful. This is important to know, is the fact that apps are really helpful to get to the next level after your basics. Basics meaning knowing the alphabet and knowing the simplistic sentence structure, maybe a few words, and going from there. And so because these apps, some of them, they already have written words, and what they're doing is they're just trying to help you advance on your vocabulary and also help you practice sentence structure. So knowing sentence structure and reading, I think those are the really important foundation basics before you move into apps. Okay, so that's number 3, which is apps. Number 4 is very much auditory and visual and helping you with more listening comprehension. Reason being is that unless, other than dramas that have like subtitles, I really encourage my students to remove subtitles in English if possible, because if you rely on those English subtitles, then some students, not everyone, it will deter them from learning the actual Korean word. Now, some students actually are more like, I have to listen to the word in Korean and then try to match it up with the subtitle English word. Now, keep in mind, the English subtitles may or may not be accurate, like completely accurate, because the person translating, it also depends on what their English learning level was and what they're used to saying or saying phrases in English. And so just keep that in mind with K-dramas in general. But majority of the time, I encourage you and I encourage my students not to use English subtitles. I think the one thing that a lot of people don't give credit to is Korean kids cartoons. The reason being is because when you are a beginner or even an intermediate level student, you can be at an intermediate level with just reading and writing and not be able to understand. And so I feel like that's a big issue with people who are learning English in Korea as well. And so if you think about it, if you're trying to learn the other way from English or whatever language to Korean, and so if you think about it, it's really important to get baby steps rather than going from 0 to 50 and trying to be like frustrated because you don't understand what's going on. So cartoons, I feel like kids cartoons, especially Korean language kids cartoons, I feel like are that baby step. Because if you're able to process the information that's going on inside a Korean kids cartoon, I feel like that is kind of a stepping stone. So there's different levels of Korean kids cartoons that are available online and on Netflix and, you know, whatever streaming program that you guys have. So Korean kids cartoons, dramas, and last thing is variety shows. The reason I encourage variety shows is the fact that you notice more of the culture, and in the sense of the interactions between the individuals. And even though it's like sometimes it's more comedic or, you know, it's romantic or whatever it is, you see like a real life or real type of interaction that happens. And so I feel like that's really helpful culturally if you're trying to learn the language as well, because culturally learning the language and learning the language formally is also two different things. So keeping that in mind as well. So again, just to kind of cover and just review everything. First, it's diary, phrasebook, word list, those type of tactile reading, writing, you know, visual type of things. And number 2 is anything to help you with foundation, whether it's online websites, books, or any type of articles, or even online forums. Okay, number 2. And then number 3 are apps that help you advance in whatever you already know. Number 4 is the comprehension part, which is more kids cartoons, dramas, and variety shows. And so I hope that these tips are really helpful. I hope that it can be useful to you. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. If you have not already and are interested, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell to make sure that you get the next video. And my goal is to do this on a regular basis. And again, I am still looking for a name for this segment. And if you have any ideas or any suggestions, really help me out. So leave that down below as well. And so you guys can help me name this segment. And I will hopefully see you next time. All right, see you later. Bye.